In just the last 12 months, Georgia, Montenegro, Thailand, and a bunch of other countries have agreed to start sharing information with tax authorities automatically around the world. In today's video, we'll explore banking in non-AEOI countries, the challenges you're going to face, and what you might want to consider instead. Of course, if you're not already subscribed to our channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you get alerted every time we post new account opening opportunities. If it seems like the list of countries that don't participate in the automatic exchange of information, or AEOI, is shrinking every year, that's because it is. That said, if you're looking to open a bank account in one of the remaining non-AEOI countries, you still have a few options to choose from. But the real question is, should you? Before we get started, we have a free non-resident banking starter guide designed to help non-resident and foreigners open bank accounts around the world, including in non-AEOI countries. So, don't forget to download your copy using the link in the description below. Now, I'm not going to list off all of the non-AEOI countries for you. There are over 100, and quite honestly, that would be really boring if I did that. Instead, we're going to share them in the description below. But you should really check out the full list on our website, where we also share all of the countries that have committed to AEOI in the coming years. That article, which is linked below, is the best resource for non-AEOI banking available. Okay, so to get started, let's discuss who AEOI can impact. Well, the hunt for non-AEOI countries isn't a fringe topic only discussed by members of the underworld on secret message boards. In fact, top international private banks and global accounting firms like Julius Baer, Deloitte, and more are actively engaged in the discussion as well. And this sudden thirst for knowledge is happening for a good reason. Understanding information sharing is a critical component to any internationalization strategy. From banking to taxation, knowing how, where, and with whom your information is being shared is important. And that's why wealth managers, private bankers, and tax advisors are keeping themselves and their clients informed on this topic. But you can't always rely on advisors to make sure you're compliant. After all, if you're not compliant, it's you that pays the penalty, not your advisors. So it's no surprise that many people from around the world want to better understand the complexities of non-AEOI countries and common reporting standards, or CRS, for themselves. But understanding and actually using this knowledge to your advantage are two very different things. With that in mind, let's talk about the dangers of relying on non-AEOI countries. Let's get real for a second here. If you want to open bank accounts in non-AEOI countries because you think this will keep your bank account information safe from tax authorities in your home country or country of tax residence, you're wrong. This is a flawed strategy that can have very real consequences for you in the future. Just because a country doesn't participate in the automatic exchange of information right now, doesn't mean that it won't share your information in other ways, do so voluntarily, or sign up for the AEOI in the near term. In fact, many countries that do not currently participate in AEOI already actively share information about individuals that hold bank accounts within their borders. They just follow different procedures. We talk about this in greater detail in our free CRS banking guide, which you can grab in the description as well. For example, lots of people think banking in the US will result in your information never being shared. And while it's true that the US is not a CRS country, there are still processes in place to share information. Foreign countries can simply use a John Doe summons to obtain information about a specific group or foreign tax residents and then collect the relevant information. In fact, in 2019, the Finnish tax authorities used the US-Finland tax treaty and a John Doe summons in order to extract information about non-compliant Finnish taxpayers who were using the US banking system to avoid tax. Big mistake. In other words, just because you have a bank account in one of the non-AEOI countries listed above doesn't mean your information isn't going to be shared. Also, you should remember that your bank isn't allowed to alert or warn you before they share your information with authorities. You already agreed to let the bank do that when you signed your account agreement and agreed to their terms and conditions. Now, you might be wondering why countries participate in AEOI. Well, there are two main reasons why countries are motivated to participate in the exchange of information. The first is increased tax revenue, and the second is economic stability. Some countries are incentivized to share information because they want to receive financial information about their own citizens and residents in exchange. In other words, some countries agree to AEOI because they want help identifying non-compliant taxpayers among their own citizens. After all, when governments discovered unreported assets via AEOI agreements, this means they can be taxed. And that means more tax revenue to prop up their government spending. Plus, tax authorities also get to collect back taxes and issue penalties for all the years that individual or company was non-compliant and failed to properly report taxes. It's a big win. In fact, in 2019, nearly 100 countries carried out automatic exchanges of information. This allowed tax authorities to receive details on 84 million financial accounts held offshore by their residents. In monetary terms, it resulted in billions in new tax revenue being uncovered by global tax agencies. The second reason is economic stability, and this is a bit nuanced. You see, many countries have built very lucrative economies by taking the complete opposite approach to AEOI. Instead, they offer financial security and privacy within their borders. But there's a problem. Many of these countries have few other economic outputs, which makes them vulnerable. In other words, their financial sectors represent a large portion or even majority of their GDP. And that's a problem for two reasons. First, countries with economies heavily relying on banking and financial services can be easily bullied into submission, such as Andorra, the Cayman Islands, Mauritius, Vanuatu, and others. Second, countries that are heavily reliant on foreign correspondent banking relationships, or CBRs, to keep their financial sectors running will be crushed if and when those CBRs are withdrawn. For instance, if countries don't have their own currency, they rely on international correspondent banks to transact in foreign currencies. Or because the entire economy is dependent on the health of the financial sector, the country can be easily bullied into submission and forced to do or adopt whatever new measures international regulators suggest. We've seen this happen time and time again, where small Caribbean or Pacific Island nations have been punished for secrecy or poor compliance and given strict new instructions on how to reform. Such demands get passed down by international regulators and, more recently, the EU or the US. But it's not just regulators. Banks play a role as well. You see, correspondent banks are essentially the foot soldiers of the regulators. And the fear of losing a relationship with an international correspondent bank is enough to make any small Caribbean bank basically jump into action. Not to mention the economic fallout that would happen within a country if there was a widespread loss of CBRs. Make no mistake, this is one of the most powerful tools that regulators have, and they're more than happy to use it. And with the EU stepping up to play an even bigger role in recent years, we expect that such tactics will continue to shrink the list of non-AEOI countries at an even faster rate, which brings us to the most important part of this video. Should you bank in non-AEOI countries? The list of non-AEOI countries is not a hit list of the best banking jurisdictions in the world. In fact, in most cases, there are better and much more stable countries to bank in. But there are still valid reasons why you still might want to open an account in a non-AEOI country. Maybe you own a vacation property, own a business, travel to that country regularly, or have suppliers or employees that you need to pay in a non-AEOI country. Or maybe you just want extra diversification for personal reasons. Any of these examples would explain why someone might want to open a bank account in one of the non-AEOI countries listed above. But if your reason for wanting to open a bank account in one of those non-AEOI countries is to protect your personal information, increase your privacy, or participate in illegal activities, then chances are your banking and your privacy is going to be short-lived. Remember, there are countless ways to legally minimize taxes, increase privacy, protect assets, and mitigate risks today. So relying on non-AEOI countries to do this for you makes no sense. Obviously, before making any decisions related to your situation, you should speak with a qualified advisor about what strategies are available to you based on your residency and citizenship. Then, when you're certain that you need an account in a certain country, just let us know. Whether you want to open a bank account in one of the non-AEOI countries listed in the description, or a country that's already signed up for AEOI, we'd be more than happy to help you get started. All you need to do is join GlobalBanks Insider, our premium membership platform that helps you unlock the benefits of international banking around the world. When you join GlobalBanks Insider, you'll get instant access to our entire archive of banking intelligence reports. And you will also get access to the GlobalBanks database, home to more than 250 banks from 50 plus countries. But most important of all is the support you'll receive from our team of experts ready to answer your most pressing banking questions and to make suggestions on which banks will best meet your objectives. To get started, just click the link in the description below to learn more about GlobalBanks Insider. But before signing off, don't forget to hit subscribe so you get alerted every time we share new banking opportunities. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.